Hi, I'm Adam.
And I'm Brian.
And we are
Drinking in the Basement.
Well, Brian, this is our fourth episode.
It's been a great time so far. Let's keep it going.
Hopefully they're getting better as we go. So we'll cut right to what's going on in the store this in the coming weeks. First, we have a new tasting that we've just scheduled. It's on April 1st, an April Fool's tasting, if you will. It's going to be after hours, but you have to be there before we close at 9 o'clock. Otherwise, you can't get in. But we're going to have some great wines that night, and it should be a great time. Of course, Brian and I won't be there because we'll be entertaining kids with drinking at Disney.
Can't wait for that one.
Exactly.
And then on April 16th, from 1 to 5, the spring tasting is going on. Good way to celebrate tax weekend. About 100 wines open in the store. Hope you can join us.
And we'll have wines at every price level at that event. It should be a great event, too. And maybe Brian and I will both be there. I know Possibly. I'll be there. All right, so what do we have coming up on this episode?
So on tap today, in recognition or honor of St. Patrick's Day coming up on March 17th, we're going to be sampling a couple Irish whiskeys here today, and I think we have a special surprise.
We have a special guest this evening. We have a man who is one of the finest lawyers in the Chicagoland area.
Not a woman.
A man who has an insane passion for whiskey. A man who instills fear in every sleep lab technician in the Chicagoland area, Adam Reback.
Woo! Yeah! I've been drinking in the basement all night!
So Adam, why don't you join us?
Come on up, Adam. It's great to have our first special guest.
Thanks
Please
for coming,
have
Adam.
a seat.
Great.
I hope your trial went well.
Oh, the trial went great. It's really great to be at crotch level with the both of you.
It's great to see you two.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Nice that you're so high above me, both of you. Just for the record, I had initially offered to be one of the hosts of the show, but Brian, in his infinite wisdom, thought it'd be a great idea to put me in my place. Apparently my place is about 3 feet below him at crotch level. So here I am.
As long as everyone knows their place in the world, we'll all be good.
And here it is.
So one of the reasons we invited Adam here is because he's been raving about Redbreast Irish whiskey. So since St. Patrick's Day is coming up, we decided to taste an Irish whiskey, and what better than Adam's favorite?
Yes.
So while Adam, we're going to allow him to get up out of this chair. While he gets up out of the chair and comes back behind the bar to join us at normal height, Irish whiskey, well, as its name says, it's whiskey made in Ireland, must be distilled to an alcohol level less than 94.8% and aged for 3 years in wood casks. Most Irish whiskeys are triple distilled. And one thing about Irish whiskeys, unlike Scotland, where there's a distillery on every corner, in Ireland there's only 4 distilleries.
And usually Scotch is only distilled twice.
So from a distillery, there's the new Middleton Distillery, which is actually the distillery that makes the 2 Irish whiskeys we are going to taste today.
And Middleton is in the very south part of Ireland. It's owned by Pernod Ricard now, and they make all the Jameson line. They make Redbreast, 12-year and 15-year, and
then the other three Old Bushmills, Bushmills whiskey,
owned by Diageo. They make all the Bushmills brands.
And Cooley Distillery.
Bushmills is in the north part of the country. Cooley is on the east coast. Cooley makes most of the other brands you've heard of, Connemara. They produce the product that's put into Tullamore Dew.
And then the last distillery opened just a few years ago, Kilbeggan Distillery.
Kilbeggan Distillery, which is in the center of the country, and they make, of course, Kilbeggan. I have heard that Tullamore Dew, which was recently bought by Grants, is looking at possibly adding a 5th distillery to Ireland.
Wow, that's fascinating. And what's even more fascinating is Brian's ability to regurgitate facts from Wikipedia for all of you out there in the viewing public.
While reading them.
Yes.
Great job, Brian.
So as you can tell, this will be Adam's last episode. Moving on,
right,
Adam,
so let's get to Redbreast. Tell me about Redbreast.
Well, Redbreast is actually one of my favorite whiskeys in the whole world. As Adam can attest to, I've spent an inordinate amount of money on whiskey at his store, which I have gladly done because he has a great selection of whiskey. Redbreast is an Irish whiskey that is pot stilled. There are only 2 pot stilled Irish whiskeys left in the world. This is the only one available in the United States. Now, pot stilled Irish whiskey is whiskey that is malted and unmalted barley that is then made in a copper pot still. This is the only one you can get in the United States and currently available at...
Antioch Fine Wine and Liquors. By the way, they also make, this is a 12-year, they also make a 15-year, which we would have had here, but unfortunately, given the holiday, it's completely out of stock.
Yeah, no, Redbreast for me is, and I say this to friends of mine all the time, is by far the best value for, what does it cost at the store now?
It's just under $50.
For under $50 for my money, and believe me, I drink a tremendous amount of whiskey, more than I should probably be saying on the internet. It is the best value whiskey in the entire world. And I drink a lot of scotch, I drink a lot of bourbon, I drink a lot of Irish whiskey. This is the best value you will get on the market.
The man drinks a lot.
The man drinks a lot.
As Adam can attest to.
As you can tell, he's a lawyer. I'm attesting. Adding a little water
As
to
a result of being a lawyer, I drink a lot.
Again, as you remember from prior episodes, sniffing, smelling wine, put your nose in with whiskey, bourbon, scotch, stay above. Otherwise, all you'll get is the alcohol smell.
Now, for me personally, the note I get from this whiskey is, well, two things really. I actually smell, and this is going to be very strange, I think, to people that are watching this, marshmallow and banana bread. I actually get that if you smell it.
I get a little of the banana. I can't say I smell the marshmallow.
Well, my son, who is 9 years old, smelled the marshmallow.
We know what goes on in the Reback house.
Yeah, I'm not encouraging drinking among children. He just smelled it, but he did smell marshmallow. What do you think?
It's very nice.
Yeah.
It's very good. You know what? I actually get a little bit of floralness to it, too.
Rich, I get a caramel taste to it.
Yeah.
Very rich, very smooth. Unlike some whiskeys I've had, not a lot of burn.
No.
So they've smoothed out. I think that the triple distilled actually helps
All right, Brian,
keep it from
let's
burning.
see how this really goes down. Here we go.
Okay. Very smooth.
All right, very nice.
Very
Now
good.
let me ask the both
Very
of
good.
you. Now, Adam, obviously you own the store and you've, been drinking whiskey for years. Brian, you as well have been drinking whiskey for years. Where does this rate for the two of you? I know where it stands for me.
I think it's a great value under $50. You know, it's not something I've ever had before. I've had the standard Jameson, whatever, but this is certainly a step up, and I think it's really nice.
Yeah, much better than the Jameson. The
I don't
official
get
very good.
I don't get a burn from it. I think it's real smooth, really full of flavor.
The one thing I'll say is, and Adam can obviously verify this.
I'm no longer attesting.
No longer attesting. I am willing to spend a lot of money on a bottle of whiskey,
We know.
as we're about to find out with another bottle of whiskey that we're pouring right now. And I tell friends all the time that this, for my money, is the best value on the market. If you want a great whiskey, I don't care if it's Scotch, bourbon, Irish whiskey, there is no better value for $50, period. And I've said that to you on the phone. And that's, I think, why they brought me in.
Oh, we have a caller.
That's true. Now,
We have a caller.
Just so the next bottle we have is called Jameson Rarest Vintage Whiskey. This is the top of the line Jameson. And I also want to say that I want to thank Southern Wine and Spirits and
Pernod
Ricard and our salesman Kevin the Beast and the Pernod Ricard representative from Southern Wine and Spirits, Anthony the Assassin, for providing us with these bottles. All right, so this is a real treat, this Jameson Rarest Vintage.
Can I say something about this? This vintage, the rarest vintage, I believe debuted in 2007, and when it was
That's true.
debuted, it was a massive, massive thing. People traveled from all over the world for the debut of this whiskey. This happens to be the 2009 vintage, which was one of the top 10 whiskeys in Malt Advocate last year. Not this year, but last year. And it's, I believe, although I don't want to speak out of turn, and I'm sure I'll get corrected by somebody on the internet, contains some of the oldest Irish whiskeys in the world. And some of these whiskeys in here actually probably date back to the Great Potato Famine.
Well, I know that the youngest whiskey here is at least 20 years old.
And what's the price in the store?
This is at least $250. We actually don't have it in the store right now, but we'll be getting it in shortly. Also, just back to Redbreast, because I forgot to mention, Redbreast was the 2010 Irish Whiskey of the Year.
Okay, so let's.
All right, so this one, which I've also never tried before, and I don't think Adam's even tried this one before.
Wow.
No, never had this one.
This has an unbelievable nose to it.
Yeah.
That's excellent.
What are you getting there? I'm almost getting...
Vanilla, some
Yeah,
vanilla,
definitely
vanilla. Caramel again, as with a lot of whiskeys, you get that, but vanilla. I did not add water to this.
I'm adding a little bit of water here to get some more of the flavors out.
smoky cigar, almost
Yeah.
like a cigar.
Yeah.
Smoky cigar, tobacco
All right,
flavor.
this is absolutely beautiful stuff.
Yeah. The one thing I'll say about this, and this is the mark.
Speaking of cigars,
The mark of a great whiskey to me is two things. A great whiskey should have one thing. It should have a great nose. It should have a great, front end on the mid palate. But then it should present something else on the back end, on the finish. The Redbreast sort of does that, but it's kind of the same all the way through. This has a nose that's distinct, it has a mid palate that's distinct, and then it has a finish that's even more distinct, and they're different from one another. That's the mark of a truly legendary whiskey.
This is just beautiful stuff. This may be the best whiskey I've ever had.
Yeah, this is unbelievable. This is unbelievable. And it's worth the price because you're paying for stuff that has a depth that you're not going to find in a $50 whiskey. Now, this is an unbelievable whiskey and worth every penny of it. This is also worth every penny of it, but you better have a lot of pennies.
then one of the things here, on the side of the label here, 46% alcohol, so 92 proof.
Yes.
92 proof, it's unchill filtered.
So
I'm
I mean,
guessing.
much higher alcohol. This is 80% alcohol, 40 proof, but smooth,
Yeah.
no burn.
Really nice.
Outstanding.
Can I say something with the unchilled filtered?
I think you will anyway. Go ahead.
There's a belief in the whiskey industry, or amongst idiots like myself that really follow this stuff, that unchill filtered is the way to go. A lot of makers of whiskey chill filter their whiskey so that when you put ice in it or water in it, you don't get the fogging of the whiskey. Non-chill filtering is the way to go. You might get a little fogginess in your whiskey when you add water or you add ice, but you are going to not lose the flavors that you lose with chill filtering. That's why this whiskey is ridiculously good, among other things.
And what Adam's saying is that when whiskey gets under 90 proof, or any spirit gets under 90 proof, it'll start to fog up unless it's been filtered. This has not been filtered. It's called unchill filtered because it's left just above the 90 proof. So when I added water to this, it did fog up a little bit.
And for the record, the only reason I'm here is because I was promised a taste of this, and I can tell you, it was worth the appearance alone just to try this. This is phenomenal, legendary whiskey.
All right, so from me, Adam, from Brian, from our special guest, Adam Reback, and again, a special thanks to Kevin and Anthony from Southern Wine and Spirits for providing us with the product today. We are
Drinking in the basement. Happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody.